Love, it must be the morning drive because that's what happens most days.
Very true.
Madness.
Madness. That's why you love us. We are live on Facebook.
That's right. And joining us here in the studio, big welcome to Mr. Kamal Seth. He is the Climate and Sustainability Director of WWF-Singapore. Hello, Kamal.
Hey, good to be here.
Oh, we need to put them on. Kamal, there was a name change with WWF, was there?
Some time ago, we won
Yeah.
that battle. We
Yeah.
had the Worldwide Fund for Nature,
Yeah.
not anything else that people might have known us for.
Yeah, okay. So it's the Worldwide Fund for Nature.
The logo remains the same, right?
Yes,
you would recognize
absolutely.
the cute little
In more than 100
panda.
countries, it's still the panda.
Nice.
All over the world.
Panda.
Love
Nice.
it. So you're here to tell us all about Earth Hour and also the Earth Hour Festival happening tomorrow.
Yeah.
This is going on at Sentosa Sensoryscape. Now, wet weather plans. I mean, the rain has been crazy.
I'm glad you asked that question because
Yeah.
we're going to talk about extreme weather conditions and climate change,
Yes.
of course, right?
Yes.
And events like these are reminders for us that we should not take it for granted that the previous generations or the current generation experienced a pretty stable climate. Now we are in the midst of a phase in which we are experiencing extreme weather conditions, whether it's rain or drought or anything else. So
Yeah.
we'll be prepared. Don't worry about it. We will have preparations, plan A, B, C's in place tomorrow when we meet for the festival.
So
Nice.
just one question. Do you have the chili and the onion on the sapulidi stick poked into the ground?
I was born in India, so I will try to keep my answer short on that. But let's say we are prepared.
right.
Okay, as long as you're prepared, that's all.
So the festival starts at 11 a.m. tomorrow, right? And then there's lots happening. There are workshops, there's mascots, face painting for the kids, coloring stations, photo booths, and there's something very interesting called a switch-off concert. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so over the years, the idea has evolved from a simple switch-off event. So it started in a few countries about 20 years ago, and now it is in more than 70, 80 countries. So what started as a switch-off event has now evolved into a mass movement. And a lot of people also, I realize, don't know that Earth Hour is a creation of WWF, a Worldwide Fund for Nature.
Right.
And so what happens now around the concert is that we'll have Joaquim Gomez, who will be there with us celebrating the hour. And we have invited lots of local performers to come and perform, showcase their talent, engage the people, talk about climate change, talk about what people can do about climate change. So we have evolved a whole day from 11 a.m. onwards all the way till the switch off happens at 8:30, 9 p.m.
Yeah.
And people can come in anytime.
Okay, so the switch-off concert happens from 8:30 till 9:30.
The concert is 7:30
All right.
and the switch off is 8:30.
So
That's right.
you run the concert, then 8:30, as
Yes.
everyone in Singapore should do, we switch off.
All over the world, in Singapore and everywhere. Yes.
Everywhere else.
Okay.
Okay,
Well-
let's talk about how it has influenced local sustainability when we come back.
The Morning Drive.
Okay, we're live on Facebook right now. And talking about Earth Hour, I know it's been a global movement for nearly 2 decades. How has it influenced sustainability, locally? Do you think people are more aware? And would that help? Just 1 hour of turning off the lights and all your devices. How does it help? in the
I had the
movement?
same question, when I first heard about the Earth Hour. How does an hour help, right? But if you look at it, factually what's happening is that 8:30 p.m. is somewhere on the planet there, right? So 8:30 p.m. in Singapore is probably 6:30 p.m. somewhere else, but they will have their own 8:30. So collectively, it adds up to a lot because of different time
Right.
zones. But at the level of a citizen or a person, what we want to see is that their day-to-day action should be inspiring in the way that whether I use single-use plastic or not, whether my diet is planet-friendly or not. So what we do in Singapore is that we run a lot of local initiative, whether it's the Eco Schools program or the Cyber Spotters program, or even planting trees for Singapore to meet its goal of 1 million trees, and natural landscapes which are restored. So we do a lot of local engagement initiative, whether it's with the schools, universities, or other communities, to make sure that every single person can join the movement beyond the hour. That it's not just about that 1 hour. We call it the biggest hour for Earth. So there is a concept of Our Bank that we introduced last year. And now for Our Bank, we have more than 71 countries, and the aggregate of that is 176,000 hours donated for the planet.
Wow.
What that means is that I can go on the WWF website and I can choose which area I want to contribute in. So it could be as simple as planting a tree. It could be watching a video to educate myself about whales in the oceans and how they are endangered.
Right. You know, Singapore has made a lot of significant strides in conservation. Have you noticed the shifts in attitudes and perceptions here in Singapore? Has there been a real noticeable shift?
Absolutely. And I can share my own personal experience. I moved to Singapore 3 years ago from New Delhi. And one of the reasons was the quality of air and life in general because of pollution and population, right? So when I moved to Singapore, it was evident to me the efforts that the country is putting in. It's not just the government, it's people in general, businesses, organizations, civil society organizations like us. So I think it's a collective effort, and the shift we are seeing in Singapore because, I mean, look at the air quality, right? And look at the regulations that make sure that happens. I work a lot on deforestation and conversion-free supply chains to make sure that transboundary haze is not reaching, not just in Singapore, but anywhere. Like imagine something happening in Sumatra or Borneo, right?
Yeah.
So it's a collective effort, but in Singapore we have seen smart urban planning. We have seen, waste to energy initiatives by the NEA, for example, and we have also seen the movement to renewable energy. Now, what we are doing as WWF Singapore is that we are also getting into this space of high-quality carbon credit markets, for example.
Yes.
How do you reach towards net zero, right? So we are working on the solution side of things, but not alone. We work with coalition partners. We work with the Southeast Asia Coalition for Nature-Based Solutions, for example, to make sure that it's not just one or two organizations, that the mass movement is at the people level, but also at the organization level.
Wow.
Now, I know WWF Singapore runs various initiatives alongside Earth Hour, like very interestingly, Cyber Spotters program.
Yes.
Tell us about that. This is,
It's one of the things that we feel quite proud of because it's citizen science, right? So we are turning everyday person into a scientist in a way that we train them for it. So they have to go to a compulsory training on how do you identify illegal wildlife products which are sold on e-commerce platforms. So they have become very smart, as you'd imagine, right, to escape. So they would use emojis, for example, to escape the algorithm of the e-commerce platform to not get caught. So what we do with the volunteers is that once we train them, they know which keywords to search. So they have, I think by now they have found several keywords which can be detected.
Right.
And then we are part of a coalition in Singapore. So then we work with our coalition partners to make sure that there is law enforcement that takes over once we have detected the illegal wildlife products on the platforms.
That's you keep mentioning this collaboration and coalitions you have. How does the WWF Singapore work with say public and private sectors beyond Earth Hour?
So the way we do it is at multiple levels. So when we think of governments, governments around the world meet for climate conferences. We call them climate COPs or biodiversity COPs, right? So the way we play is at all levels, meaning from government to an individual. So with the government, we would be the conveners in many cases of dialogues between countries and nations. So while they do talk to each other, sometimes they need that neutral convening so that people at least sit across the table. So one is that at the COP level. The second is at the business coalitions level. So we would be founders of Business for Nature Coalition, for example, or many sustainability standards that I spend a lot of time on. So then we would bring NGOs, corporates, and others on the table to have a credible sustainability standard for seafood, for palm oil, for different other things. And then at the individual level, we would have mass movements like Earth Hour. So behavior change and system change, we work on both and also work on policy. So we believe that if we have organizations, governments, and individuals working together, we will then find some solutions for climate crisis and beyond.
As an organization, then you really work right across the board from government all the way down.
Well, we are the biggest independent conservation organization in the world, so I think we owe it to the planet that when we operate in more than 100 countries, it is our job to do that job as we do, right? Because you trust us to do that job.
Yes.
So we are trying our best to do the job, but we need more of your support to do it. So coming to tomorrow's festival, it is your chance to come and make your contribution and commitment to the Earth.
Get your voice be heard. Okay, so I know you go into schools as well, part of the Eco Schools program, and this is interesting. How many schools are we talking about here in Singapore?
I think the last we checked is 136 schools. We are the national operator for the UNESCO Environmental Education Program, and we are the ones running it for a very long time, which means what we are talking about is behavior change as early as possible.
Yes.
Which means the moment our kids start speaking, they should be really exposed to the environment, nature, climate education.
Are you talking about getting involved as well as primary schools?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we have kids who are, writing poems on climate change or getting into competitions or sketches, very simple things, right?
Right.
So we start, inculcating these ideas from primary school upwards to mid-school, senior, secondary, and so on and so forth.
Yeah,
So,
you have them thinking about.
because once they grow up and become adults, we want them to be responsible adults who are thinking of the planet as much as they're thinking about themselves.
It becomes a way of life.
Yes, it's a way of life. You don't have
Yeah.
to teach and preach after that.
Yeah.
It's just that they will make good decisions because they know from the beginning how to do it.
Yeah,
All right,
yeah.
Kamal, give us a sec. We're going to go back on air right now and chat more.
Don't you know it? That's Shakespeare in love.
Layla Caliph, Shakespeare in Love. Was he ever in love?
Yes,
I
I'm
knew
sure.
he had a few addictions. I don't know his love story, though.
All right, it is the morning drive. Good morning to you. Happy Friday. Joining us here today on Facebook and also in the studio, Kamal Seth. He's the Climate and Sustainability Director of WWF Singapore. Very happy to have you here. We talked about Earth Hour Festival that's happening tomorrow. Now, we also mentioned a lot about the initiatives that you work with the corporates, but on a personal level, what can I do? Households, what can I tell my children about saving the planet? What can we do from home?
So I'll tell you my favorite,
Yes.
which is what we are calling build your own planet-friendly diet.
Okay.
What do I mean by that? So what we mean is that human health is very, very important and we all care for it. We have seen the pandemic. We know the connection between the pandemic and the species because, where it came from. So when you build your planet-friendly diet, when you go out for shopping, you need to make sure that the carbon footprint of anything that you buy is as small as possible. To give you an example, very few people know that the water footprint for rice is one of the highest across crops. But we all consume rice almost every day, and many people have not heard about it, right? You might hear about beef, for example, right?
Yeah.
So beef is now connected as the number one reason for driving deforestation and conversion. You wonder why? Because places where natural forests need to be, they're now converted into grazing fields.
Yes.
Now, of course, food security is super important. No one, denies that fact. But at the same time, what we are encouraging now with our Planet-Friendly Diets campaign is to encourage people to look at your plate. And tomorrow at the festival, we'll actually have 2 workshops on this. And
Okay.
I'm going to be part of both those workshops to run it properly. So we want to tell from kids to adults and everyone else, look at your plate, look at your proteins, calcium, and anything else. And next time you go for your food shopping or you do online shopping, you need to just make sure that you educate yourself on the impact that your food makes on the planet, not just on your health. So we believe that human health and planetary health can go hand in hand. It's not a either or choice, that you can build a consumption pattern by educating people about making good choices.
Yeah, don't eat so much rice.
Come on.
Very tough for us. It's an
Very tough.
Asian staple,
Yeah.
right?
And Asia is one of the biggest producers, right? So it's not a black and white. So we have to be very careful. We're just asking for a more balanced diet. We're not saying black and white, no or yes.
What about the big topic these days is AI. Are you guys looking at using AI? What are its effects on the environment?
Well, I could go a bit out of syllabus on this one, but it's a large topic, but we are definitely looking into it from simple things, right? What goes into our reports and whether that image came from, whether that was a human being who clicked it or was that
Right.
AI doing it, from videos. But we are being very cautious about it. The reason is that there's a lot of fake news. There's
Yes.
a lot of things which are not true, which is going around the internet, and the regulations around the world are not so strong yet. We know there was a conference in France recently
Yes.
around talking about global regulations for AI. But so we are being very cautious. We are using it in a way that we must, because we still have insights and analysis that only human beings can do. So yes, we can have generative AI and all of those things, but the regulations around the world are not there yet. So let's just accept that we need to be a bit cautious till we have a highly credible regulatory mechanism to monitor these things.
Okay, on that note, right, we've got a listener who's actually asked, there are people asking for donations on behalf of WWF at the MRT stations or in CBDs. Is that legitimate?
Absolutely. We are an Institute of Public Character, or IPC as we call it. So the reason people get tax benefits by donating to WWF is very simple, that we work on causes that a lot of people might not be funding. So, for example, corporates might not be funding all the initiatives that we might be doing for the planet, for biodiversity or marine conservation, for example. So when you see people, or pandas as we call ourselves, around the city, what they're really doing is telling you about a project, and they're asking you, would you like to support that project? And that's all legit, so just to be sure.
Okay.
And of course, you can do a background check and see who the person is, the ID card of the person, or so on and so
Right.
forth. But we are legally allowed to do that, and that's why we do it.
Okay, but you heard it from Kamal, okay? So don't
Yeah.
run away from the pandas the next time you see them.
Absolutely.
All right, we gotta go, but please join us at Earth Hour Festival tomorrow. It's happening starting 11 a.m. at Sentosa Sensoryscape, right?
And to make it easier, it's SG60, so we are celebrating Singapore's rich natural heritage.
Yeah.
And the entry is free this week.
Wow.
So don't worry
Great.
about it. You go by road, you cycle your way, you walk there. It's all for free this week. So please join us tomorrow from 11 a.m. onwards.
Yes, all the way till 9:30. And don't forget, switch off your lights and your devices
Yes.
starting 8:30 to 9:30 for Earth Hour. Thank you very much, Kamal Seth. Once again, he is the Climate and Sustainability Director from WWF Singapore.
Enjoy the ride. The right way to start your day. The Flying Dutchman in Carrie Chong